Hey guys, let's talk about Kynande Bennett. Kynande was born on August 24th, 1998, and she's been missing since September 29th, 2002, from Whiteville, North Carolina. At the time of her disappearance, she was 4 years old, 3 feet 10, and 90 pounds. She's an African-American female with brown hair and brown eyes. Kynande has a light complexion, pierced ears, and a birthmark on her arm in the shape of a seashell. When she was last seen, her hair was styled in small braids tied with small bows in her barrettes. Kynande's mother, Vertasha McCullough, sometimes referred to as Vertasha White or Vertasha McCullough White, said she last saw her daughter at a Kmart store at 5 p.m. on September 29, 2002. They resided in Conway, South Carolina, and were visiting Kynande's uncle in Whiteville, North Carolina that day. At first, Vertasha claimed Kynande disappeared in an aisle of the store, but she later changed her story and said she walked into the store and thought Kynande was behind her, but turned around and she was gone. Nobody remembered seeing Kynande with her mother in Kmart that day, and video surveillance images of the establishment did not show any images of Kynande. When the police searched the couple's car, they noted there was no car seat and no other sign that a young child had been there recently, except for a single Matchbox car they found wedged under a seat. In fact, investigators could find no evidence that Kynande had ever arrived in North Carolina. No one at all, other than Kynande's father and mother, reported having seen her, and 2 days before she was reported missing. One witness saw Kynande with bruises on her shoulder and face just a few days before her disappearance, and when the witness asked the child what had happened, Kynande said, quote, "My mommy did it," unquote. The witness then confronted Vertasha, who said, quote, "I'm going to whip her ass for telling you," unquote. Another witness reported seeing cuts on Kynande's body and marks that appeared to have been caused by a strap. Kynande's grandparents had been worried about her, and on September 29th, the same day she was reported missing, her grandparents told the police in Kynande's hometown of Conway that they thought Kynande was being abused. Police stated Kynande's parents seemed uninterested in her case and never called to ask for updates on the investigation. They also reported that Vertasha failed a polygraph regarding her daughter's disappearance, and Kynande's father, Eddie Kevin Bennett Jr., refused to take one. Both parents were described as uncooperative, and there were inconsistencies in their stories. Police executed a search warrant on Kynande's home and her family's vehicles and took blood and saliva samples from both parents. They later stated that the residence had been sanitized with bleach and still smelled of it. They noted the presence of 3 bleach bottles, a damp mop, and towels. Vertasha stated she was cleaning the apartment in preparation for an upcoming inspection by the housing authority, but investigators believe that she was trying to cover up a crime. The search of the apartment turned up transfer stains, which come from fluid splatters being wiped, matching Kynande's DNA, and police said the scene, quote, would suggest that a physical assault had taken place, unquote. They noticed that someone had already thrown away most of Kynande's toys and clothes, as if they did not believe she would ever be coming home. Vertasha and Kevin used the past tense when talking about Kynande, and indication believed she was no longer alive. According to authorities, after they told Vertasha she had failed her polygraph, she began crying. One of the officers said, quote, "We both know that whatever happened to that child did not happen in North Carolina. It happened in that apartment, didn't it?" unquote. And Vertasha nodded yes. They asked her to take them to where Kynande's body was, but she said, quote, "I can't," unquote. After she regained her composure, she retracted her previous admission and again said Kynande had disappeared from the Kmart. Kynande's parents were both arrested in February 2003 and charged with homicide by child abuse in connection with their daughter's case. Investigators said the DNA evidence proved she died in Conway and never went to Whiteville on September 29th. That, combined with Kynande's grandparents' evidence, led to the murder charges. The charges against Kevin were dropped in October 2005, but could be refiled if more evidence is located. Additional charges of unlawful neglect of a child and inflicting great bodily harm on a child were added to Vertasha's indictment in December 2005. Vertasha maintained her innocence at the trial and testified in her own defense, stating she had never harmed Kynande. The prosecution theorized Vertasha had abused Kynande and caused her death unintentionally, then panicked afterwards and attempted to conceal the crime. She was convicted of all charges in February 2006 and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Kynande remains missing. She is described as an intelligent, well-mannered child who could read simple words and could count to 30 at the time of her disappearance. She liked SpongeBob SquarePants. Foul play is suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved. If you have any information, please call the Conway Police Department at 843-248-1790.